Everyone in my shul and community knows that I'm not the biggest fan, shall we say, of soccer. But I found it interesting that the news of the great soccer star Diego Maradona from Argentina's death prompted such a national state of mourning in his native country of Argentina. The government declared 3 days of mourning, and I've seen pictures online of people in the streets crying uncontrollably at the loss of this great national treasure. And what's even more amazing is that I see teenagers and young children in the streets of Argentina and Buenos Aires crying and wearing his jersey. Children that never saw him play feel like they've lost some sort of father figure. And I wondered why. So I was reading just a little bit right before this video, and I see that Maradona's journey to becoming probably the greatest soccer star on the planet is really what Argentinians identified with. It didn't identify with his feats of athletic brilliance necessarily, but what they identified with him was his journey. He grew up totally impoverished in the slums, and he rose to become one of the greatest athletes of his time, and probably the greatest athlete in his country's history. And he always remained true to where he came from. A little boy from the slums of Argentina who became the greatest soccer star and was outspoken in his support of the poor and the downtrodden. And so the Argentinians, in interviews I'm reading, identified with the journey, that he didn't stay satisfied where he was born, and that he didn't stay satisfied where he ended up, when he easily could have lived a life of luxury and ignored every place that he came from and every lesson that he learned along the way. And amazingly, to make a separation, I believe this lesson is so applicable to all of us, but we see it in tomorrow's Torah portion. When Jacob, our forefather, there's no Torah portion called Parshat Yaakov. This is the Torah portion of Jacob. However, Rabbi Ephraim Mervis, the chief rabbi of England, says very poignantly, so powerfully, that there's three Torah portions that describe an action done by Jacob, and they are Vayetze Yaakov, Jacob went out. Then the next one is Vayishlach Yaakov, that he sent forth. And then finally the third and final is Vayeshev Yaakov, and he finally settled near the end of his life in Egypt with his entire family, finally reunited with his beloved son Joseph. And the message is that we have to be aware that the journey will not be one of just sitting and dwelling happily, as it was of Vayeshev, the last parsha. It's also not one of going out to find something, of Vayetze, the very first parsha. The middle and bulk of our lives will be dealt with Vayishlach, the middle parsha of Jacob sending forth messengers, sending forth efforts, sending forth children to do this. The bulk of life is that of constantly searching and doing and seeking. That's Vayishlach, sending forth ideas, messages, wisdom, love, efforts. And that's what the Argentinian people identify with Maradona, that he escaped or he left behind a life, and his life apparently, from what I'm reading, was a life of searching and seeking and rescuing and helping, and also recognizing the pain of suffering of his fellow citizens, which is very admirable. And so it's our job to understand that we're not here to just leave a place and go wandering off endlessly without a goal or purpose, and our job is not to settle permanently. Our job is to send forth with our talents, our skills, to help the people around us. And certainly we know that there's plenty of opportunities to help people around us. We just have to get out of our skin, put aside some of our fears, some of our concerns, and look for ways to help our fellow citizens around us. And by doing so, we, I think, will find serenity and purpose and peace. Shabbat Shalom.